Hello and welcome to Gardening with Ben's award-winning podcast, as voted by Grow Your Own magazine and by my followers and listeners. So if you're new to the podcast, make sure you click that subscribe button to stay up to date with all our podcasts, listen back to all our previous episodes, sit back, grab a brew and let's enjoy today's episode. So hello and welcome to today's podcast. It's been a couple of weeks since my last one, but we are back, and we are back for a special reason. The reason being is that quite a bit back, I asked my listeners to nominate me for an award, if they wanted to, for the Grow Your Own magazine, for the best online blogger and the best podcaster, garden podcaster. And it was whittled down to the best votes, and I got the short list for the best podcaster and best online blogger, and the voting seemed to be open for ages and ages and ages, getting people to vote. But unfortunately, I didn't win the best online blogger. I was up against Monty Don, Alan Titchmarsh and Charles Dowdy, and there was no chance that I'd beat these superstars who know absolutely everything. But luckily, I managed to win the best gardening podcast. As you will have heard in the introduction, I've changed that up. It now says the best gardening podcast award, voted by the readers of Grow Your Own magazine and by you, the listeners. So thank you so much for voting. If you're listening to this podcast, I'm sending out my thanks to everybody that voted for me in these awards. It means so much. Over the last year it's been pretty much hell, but things are looking up now. Things are turning the corner, the sun is shining, the plants are looking good, and I'm enjoying being part of the gardening community again and sharing all my tips and advice with you, and I hope you have enjoyed it too. I've had quite a lot of good messages recently from my followers and from you guys and girls that are listening, supporting me and encouraging me, and that means so much to me at the moment. So if you're new to Gardening with Ben, if you've never listened to Gardening with Ben before, I'm going to explain about my background, how I got into gardening, where it all began, and what is happening now. So yeah, pretty much I started helping my dad on a brand new allotment back when I was 12-year-old. They were a derelict allotment site, and the council said we need to get these sites back up and running again, and my dad helped do that, and he got involved with a community group, and they got all the plots cleared. They got funding for new roads, water pipes to be laid on the site, and to get the allotments back up and running again. All the plots got taken. It was a great atmosphere, a great community group down there. And when I turned about 16, I was still absolutely loving gardening and helping my dad. And I thought, why am I helping my dad when I can have my own plot? So I applied for my own plot, and I think I got it when I was either 17 or 18. I can't remember the age that I got it at. So I got involved, started my own plot, didn't know where to start or how to begin, and it was a massive piece of land, a lot bigger than my dad's allotment, but I was still living at home at the time, so it was a great place to just go down and enjoy having my own allotment site, where I could just chill out and relax and enjoy my own space, to be honest. And I started off with just some rhubarb plants and a few fruit trees, that's if you can say it, which was a plum, which I've still got, my cooking apple, which I've still got, a cherry, which is no longer there because it didn't do very well, and a nectarine tree, which also isn't there because that didn't do very well either. I was getting peach curl on it all the time, so that came out, and that's what I started with on my plot, to be honest. And now it's looking absolutely fantastic. If you've watched my live videos on Facebook and my tours on YouTube, it's certainly grown from what it was, and I've still got so much plans left for my plot. I'm desperate to get some fruit bushes on my plot. I've not got many fruit bushes. I've only got a couple of blueberry bushes. I've got no fruit bushes whatsoever. So I'm planning on getting some currant bushes down there and getting some blackberries as well. I've got lots of raspberries on my plot, but I want some of those thornless blackberries. So if you feel like sending me some, feel free to. Hint, hint. But yeah, I'd love some of those thornless blackberries. So if you can take cuttings from any of them and send them my way, I would highly appreciate it. And I would like them all the way down the side of my plot. I've got raspberries down one side and I want blackberries down the other side. That is the plan for the future. And also I'm thinking about some loganberries. So yeah, I've got my polytunnel down there, and that's not just one of these cheap average polytunnels. It's quite a good one, which I invested in quite a long time ago, about 10-12 years ago, and it's still standing now, so it's doing pretty well at the moment. So I'm pleased with how well that is actually doing. So I've been doing my plot since I was about 18, and now I'm 35. So I've learnt so much over these years. And yeah, over these years I've learnt quite a lot. Gardening is something that you keep on learning. There's new ways, new tips, new advice, new paths to follow, new methods to try as well. So it's forever changing, gardening, but there's still the old, like, wives' tales, what people follow when they're doing gardening. Like with me, I always plant my potatoes on Good Friday because it's something to do with the moon. There's always those old-fashioned tips what a lot of people follow, and that is what I like to share. I'm forever researching, finding out new advice on ways to do things and how to do things. It's like, for instance, when you're planting courgettes, plant a plant plot at the side so that you can water into the plant pot instead of watering around the courgette plant, because if you water around the courgette plant, it could rot the stem and then you'll lose your courgette plant. Rather than if you water into the watering pot, you will water directly to the roots and you won't rot the courgette. So there's loads of things that you keep on learning. So a few years ago I just started blogging for myself, basically, when to plant stuff, where I planted it, how it grew, where it grew, how well it did, just for my own personal reference really, so that I could look back on the year and see how things have actually grown and move things to different areas if it's not worked, or crop rotation, stuff like that. And suddenly people started following me, and I thought, not in person, online, people started following me, and I thought, why are people following me? And people are enjoying what I was sharing. People are enjoying the pictures that I was showing, the transformations of my plot, how things were growing, and they were starting to take a real interest into it. I'd not done a live video at all. I was just sharing my pictures really, and my following were getting bigger. I was getting 100 followers, then it went to 200, then 500, 1,000, and suddenly I'm now at 18,000 followers on Facebook, and I still can't get it. I really can't. And probably about 2 years ago I did my first live video, and pressing that button on Facebook to go live was the hardest thing that I've ever done. It took so much courage to press go live, because I was thinking to myself, what if people ask me questions I don't know? What if people slate me off on Facebook Live? What happens if people put nasty comments down and stuff like that? And all this stuff was going through my head, and thinking, shall I actually do a live video? And I did it. I went and did it, and it went fantastic. And what I'm always honest about is that I don't know all the answers. I don't know all the questions what people are going to ask. If I don't know it, I'll throw it out to the group and let other people answer, as other people know more stuff than me. I don't know everything. I'm still learning. I'm always learning, and that is the thing about gardening. So yeah, I did my first live video, and I think it was just before the coronavirus pandemic. And all the way through the coronavirus pandemic, I was going live, sharing my tips and my advice, doing daily tours, and people were loving that I was being part of their lives and something for them to interact with, because some people haven't got anybody to interact with, and they absolutely loved it. And it's the best thing that I've ever done, start that Facebook page up, and I love sharing my tips and advice. So that is a bit about my basic background really. And if you don't know, I started it off as the Yorkshire Gardener, but as it started to grow and expand worldwide, I decided to change the name to Gardening with Ben, as I thought it was a bit more personal. People could know what my name were, and they could say, "Hello Ben, nice to see you Ben." They wouldn't know my name if I was the Yorkshire Gardener if they first started following me. So hence the name change as well. I did actually lose some followers when I changed the name, so a few people weren't happy, but oh well. So yeah, that is my background. I hope you do enjoy these podcasts. Please do leave a rating on the platform that you're listening to. If you're listening on Spotify, you can leave a rating, I think, and on Apple you can leave a rating. And please do share them in your Instagram stories. Tag me in them that you've listened to them, and I'll share them. And because I like to see who's actually listening. I know it's getting about 150 downloads an episode, but I do like to know who's actually listening to it. So please do send me a message to say you've listened to the episode or something like that. And we'll be bringing lots more episodes, and hopefully I'm going to start inviting some people to join us on these podcasts. I've never done one with somebody else before. I've been on somebody's podcast, but I've never had somebody on my podcast, so that's going to be the next learning curve. So if you'd like to join me on a podcast, feel free to send me a message and we'll have a chat and talk about gardening or anything that you wish to talk about. So until next time, keep gardening and keep smiling. So thank you for listening to today's episode of Gardening with Ben. We hope that you've enjoyed this episode. Remember to do click that subscribe button to stay up to date with all our podcasts. Feel free to share them on your Instagram stories so that it spreads the word about my podcast and we get lots more listeners. Feel free to check out my social media sites, Facebook and Instagram as well, Gardening with Ben, and also my YouTube channel, to stay up to date with all my handy videos, how-to videos, and sharing my tips and advice. And feel free to check the link as well in the description for my Gardening with Ben t-shirts. Lots of funny gardening design t-shirts in there for you to purchase at great prices too. So thanks again, and as always, remember, keep smiling and keep gardening.